We are going on. Section 29. This is about arrival. This is any vessel or aircraft coming to India, certainly from a place outside India. Where it should arrive? There is a general situation, there is an emergency situation. In emergency, nothing applies. But in general situation, any vessel or aircraft coming to India from outside India carrying people or baggage or both should arrive only at a custom port or airport appointed under section 7. Right, where it should arrive? Only at a place appointed under section 7, not at any other place. Right, I'll show you that section 29 first, then we will discuss about that. Advanced ruling. This chapter you can read on your own as well. Arrival of the vessel and aircraft in India. This is person in charge of a vessel or aircraft entering India from a place outside India shall not cause a permit of vessel or aircraft to land or call for the first time after arrival in India or at any time while it is carrying the passenger cargo brought in the vessel or aircraft at any place other than a custom port or custom airport, as the case may be, unless permitted by the board. So unless permitted by the board means board has authorized, board declares some other place as the custom port, airport, or maybe on temporary basis, then that is okay. Otherwise, only at a place appointed a custom port or airport under section 7. Then subsection 2 is in case of emergency, what should happen? So this says, the provisions of section 1 shall not apply in relation to any vessel or aircraft which is compelled by accident or stress of weather or any unavoidable causes or call or land at a place other than custom port, airport, then the responsibility of the person in charge. So under section 29, there are two situations. One situation is general. And another situation is emergency situation. What is called emergency? Emergency means what? Tell me, what is the meaning of emergency?
Urgent necessities.
Something unexpected.
Something unexpected.
During the war time, sir.
No. Just asking for a meaning of the word urgency or rather emergency. Not in relation to customs. Emergency means what?
Unnatural event.
Unnatural
event, sir.
Unnatural
event or happening.
Something which needs an immediate action.
Something which needs an immediate action, right? So what I'm writing, you can write it in the margins. That has nothing to do with the customs. Emergency. This is a situation emerging out of urgency, right? So emerging and urgency, these words combined it together, that becomes emergency. An emergency word doesn't have any specific meaning. It doesn't have any specific meaning. It carries a different meaning in every situation, right? Say for example, medical emergency is one type, right? Then Weather emergency, that is another type of emergency. Political emergency, that is altogether different. Market emergency, that is stock market emergency, that is a different type of situation. So as such, emergency word does not have any specific meaning. In every situation, it carries a different meaning. But the conclusion is that there is a situation which is emerging out of urgency, and urgency means requiring urgent action. Requiring urgent action. So is this meaning clear? What is the emergency?
Yes, sir.
No. In general, unless permitted by the board otherwise. Who is authorizing? The board. Which board? Central board. Here we can add only at a custom port or custom airport under section 7. So any vessel or aircraft coming to India from outside India, unless otherwise permitted by the board, should arrive only at a custom port or custom airport appointed under section 7. Right? Further, it says as long as it is carrying any goods or passenger brought from outside India. As long as it is carrying any goods or passenger brought from outside India, it should continue to arrive at custom port, custom airport only. What is the meaning of this line? Think of it and tell me what is the meaning of this line.
If it is empty, it can come anywhere.
Cannot be empty. Logically think, can it be empty at any time?
And also consumed.
No. Logical. No? Now let me tell you how the logic is to be applied. This vessel or aircraft must be having at least fuel.
Yeah, so it will be stores.
Yes, and the stores are good.
Goods.
Clear? Or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this says, once you have arrived in India, that is point number 1. It does not mean that now you are free to roam around in India. If you are carrying any of the goods or passenger brought from outside India, continue to do that. Now imagine that one aircraft is coming from Singapore to Mumbai, and in between it lands at Kolkata. Lands at Kolkata. Some of the passengers disembark there. Some of the baggage is unloaded at Kolkata. What about the remaining passenger coming from Singapore? What about their baggage? So after landing at Kolkata, it is not free to go to any airport in India. It will have to come only at a custom port or airport as long as it is carrying the passenger who are coming from Singapore, and there is any baggage or any goods which are brought from Singapore. It will have to come only at a custom port or custom airport only. Now read this again. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Doesn't sound good.
Yes, sir.
Now, what in case of emergency? Now, this is the normal situation when everything is all right. Right? What about emergency? So, can I clear this portion?
Yes, sir.
Now, this emergency, this can be mechanical, this can be medical, this can be environmental, anything, any kind of emergency it can be. In this situation, first thing is arrive at any place in India. If there is emergency and if still the provisions are same, it is going to be a problem. Say the vessel is on fire and you put a condition, no, you arrive only at a custom port. By the time it reaches custom port, the vessel may not be there. Isn't it? So that's why that condition is not there. So arrive at any place in India. But when this permission is given, special obligations are there. The person in charge. This is the proper definition, person in charge. In relation to aircraft, it is the pilot. In relation to vessel, it is the master or captain. Right. He is referred as the person in charge. The person in charge shall. Now, these are obligations. If it is a genuine situation and where it is possible, because in case of emergency, quite possible, even giving the intimation is also not easy. And how do we know if you landed at a random place, where is the custom officer, where is the police officer? So wherever practical, inform nearest police or custom officer. Number B. Follow instruction of the officer. Number C. Not allow removal of goods or departure of person, departure of any person from the place. These are obligations of the person in charge of the vessel or aircraft which has landed at some other place because of emergency. Emergency, I said, it can be mechanical, it can be medical, it can be environmental, or it can be something else. And if you arrive at some other place, then the person in charge shall. These are obligations. Number one, inform. Number two, follow the direction. Number three, do not allow any person to leave that place. Do not remove the goods. But what if it is a medical emergency? So, an exception also, there is an exception. Particularly clause C. Doesn't apply where it is necessary. To save life or goods. So, if it is the case of medical emergency, then certainly the patient plus some more people will have to depart from their place, taken to the medical facility at the earliest possible. And if by chance there is something by which the goods are likely to be destroyed, then remove the goods at the earliest possible so that those are not destroyed. So, in exception also, there is an exception. The first exception is in case of emergency, you can arrive at any place, not a problem. And when you arrive at any other place, there is obligation. What is the obligation? First, the person in charge. Who is the person in charge? In relation to vessels, it is the master or captain. In case of aircraft, it is the pilot. Right. First obligation, inform the nearest police officer or the custom officer. Then number two, Follow the instruction given by that officer. Number 3, do not allow any person to leave the vicinity and do not allow the removal of any of the goods. But the condition of that removal of goods or allowing a person to leave that vicinity of the place will not be applicable when it is necessary for safety of the life or for protection of the goods. Okay, so this is section 29. Now we can read the entire section 29 and then this will become more clearer to you. Now read this one. The person in charge of a vessel or aircraft entering India from a place outside India shall not cause or permit the vessel or aircraft land to the first time after arrival and at any time while it is carrying passenger or cargo brought in that vessel or aircraft at any place other than custom port, custom airport, as the case may be, permitted by the board. So this was general position that I had referred here. Then subsection 2. This is talking about emergency situation. This is subsection 1 shall not apply in relation to vessel or aircraft which is compelled by accident, stress of the weather or any unavoidable cause of the call or land at any place other than custom port, custom airport, but the person in charge of the vessel or aircraft shall immediately report the arrival of the vessel or aircraft or landing of the aircraft to the nearest custom officer or officer in charge of the police station and shall on demand produce to him the logbook belonging to the vessel or aircraft, shall not without the consent of such officer permit any goods carried in the vessel or aircraft to unload or any of the crew or passenger to depart from the vicinity, shall comply with the directions given. And no passenger member, the crew member, without the consent of the officer, leave the immediately. Provided that nothing in this section shall prohibit the departure of crew or passenger from the vicinity or the removal of goods from the vessel or aircraft where the departure or removal is necessary for reason of health, safety, or preservation of the property, life or property. So this is section 29. So whether this section is clear or not,
Very clear,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
right? So first is arrival. Then the next part will be about the unloading. How the unloading is done, there is a complete process. Under section 30, import manifest is filed. Then there can be, then the unloading has to be only in relation to those goods which are mentioned in the import manifest under the supervision of the officer on a working day, during working hours. All those provisions we are going to discuss, but not today. So just go through what you have taken the note today. How much notes you have taken?